Good afternoon. My name is Veronica Pazaran, and today I have the privilege to spend a little bit of time with you and talk about what's your plan E, right? When I'm talking about having a backup plan, having another option, right? What are three things that would give you freedom and control, right? Something that I feel we do not get having a job, right? Why? Because we have to ask if we're thinking about a vacation, spending time with our family. What do we have to do? We have to ask our boss, right? Is it okay? Can I take a week off? Or is it okay if I, have a doctor's appointment? So we're always having to ask for that permission, right? No freedom there. Are we doing something meaningful, right? My background, I'll tell you a little bit about how I became an entrepreneur, right? My background is I'm an architect by trade, right? My parents immigrated from Mexico. My mom worked in a factory her whole life. And my dad, when he came to this country, he started working in a factory, but saw that that was not a great future, right? So one of them had to sacrifice. So mom sacrificed working in the factory, and dad went on to get a degree. He became a teacher, right? So what was the school that I grew up with, right? I grew up with go to school, get a degree, and you're going to get a great job, right? Never did I ever hear the word entrepreneur, right? But so then, fast forward, I get a degree, I'm working, I get married. My husband used to be a diesel mechanic, right? So you're just going through life and not planning for what happened, not having a backup plan, right? Because you always assume that nothing is going to go wrong or you're not going to need it because you have a degree and you have a career, right? So a lot of the times, what could happen, right? Sometimes you hear about people losing their jobs, right? Unemployment. You graduate, you don't find a job. In my case, it was an illness, right? An illness is what shook us up. So my husband underwent brain surgery, and as a result, he became visually impaired, right? So we had all these responsibilities that were taken care of because you're dealing with two incomes, right? But what happens when something tragic like that happens and you're not prepared, right? And that was my case. So all this responsibility, and now we're on one income. So at that time, my brother was introduced to someone who was working in the financial literacy space. And he said, you should really sit down with him. I had a lot of great ideas. He helped me with planning, and I think you need this information. And when you're going through such a tremendous change in your life, you're like, absolutely right. You're ready to learn. What can I do better? So this person sat down with me and just opened up all these things that I thought everything was under control. And you don't know what you don't know, right? So a lot of we started doing the planning, and he invites me to one of the workshops, right? So Carlos and I attend the workshop, and I was just blown away because I was like, where has this information been, right? And it's, I think, when you're going through a hard situation that you're open-minded, right? Because I think, I'm not sure that if someone would have approached me and said, these are the things that we need to talk about or learn about, maybe I would have done the planning part of it, but I never would have looked at the opportunity, right? You're always, and sometimes you're like, I have a job, I have the security, and I'm comfortable. So why am I gonna change that, right? But once I started learning the benefits and the potential of having your own business, owning your own time, and in my situation, and the need that is out there for this information, it was just like I fell in love with the mission. And that's how I got started. So, things like owning my time, doing something meaningful, no one is talking about this subject, especially my community. It's great when you could sit down with someone and they want to speak with you in Spanish, and you could just say, yes, I'll speak with you in Spanish. I'll explain this in Spanish. So that has been huge. What are the two whys, right? Those are a few questions or the main questions that when we get introduced to the company, it's like, why would you do this, right? And in my case, it's my family, right? They're really dependent on me, right? So it's like, what kind of life do I want to give them? I know that staying at a job, that's not the life, or it's going to be capped, right? Because you have a salary and there's a ceiling, right? So you know how much income you're going to get. So every day it's like, okay, what's my wife to reach out, contact? It's my family, right? It's like, what kind of lifestyle do I want to give them? And that's something that you're invited, you're here today. Just look at that. Is my job going to give me the lifestyle that I'm looking for? Is what I'm doing now going to make a difference? Those are just some of the thoughts that you should, start thinking about. I don't think anyone tells you these things, right? Because you're gonna get shaken up, right? If you don't build your dreams, someone will hire you to help build theirs, right? That's the majority of people, right? We're just whoever is an employee, we're just in and out, and we're building that other person's dreams, right? Their goals. What's the company's goal to reach this year? And we just go to work, right? But the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. That's the entrepreneur, right? That's the person that's willing to go out there and fight for their family, and as a reward have the freedom of not having to answer to anyone but themselves, right? So which quote hits you harder? Which one resonates with you? Here at WealthWave, we do two things, right? We focus on financial literacy. We have the number one bestseller book that you could find on Amazon, and it's the How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker, right? The person who invited you to this webinar can also get you a copy of this book. What's the main point, right? We teach people how money works. This is something that is not taught in schools, and everyday financial decisions are made. That's like the crazy part, is like, it's already, past noon, right? So by this time, every one of us who is on this webinar already made a financial decision, right? Did we buy coffee this morning, or are we getting lunch? But we don't even know like what effect that has on our finances, because we just go through life, right? Just spending and not realizing, should I make coffee at home this morning? So that's really crucial. And no one's teaching it. So that's like our number one mission here. And two is give someone the opportunity to see what would their lives look like if they were to work with us, right? If they were to shift from employee to entrepreneur, helping families learn how money works. Any one of you could look up this article. It was just released February of this year. And it says the demographic time bomb set to hit the financial advice industry, right? What are they talking about? They're talking about all the financial advisors who are currently hitting their retirement age, along with the baby boomer clients that they have, right? Because the way the financial industry is structured, there's not enough new people coming into the industry. Why? It's an industry where if you want to work, you need to stop doing everything else that you're doing and go full time with a company and find the clients who have 500,000, $1 million in assets, right? They're not talking to middle America, which is a huge problem. That's why, the country is in the situation that it is. When COVID happened, right? What was the first big problem that people were facing? Not working and not having that paycheck, right? And it all goes back to Education, right? If they knew about an emergency fund, I'm sure the government would not have to print all this money. And it just goes on to the basics that are not getting taught in school. So to come around the demographic time bomb is there is a huge need of financial professionals, and especially in the way wealth wave works, our focus is on middle America, right? Our focus is on that person who wants to start off just getting a budget in place, just starting to save their $25 a month, just start getting in the right habits, and we're going to see that the industry is hurting. What are the risks of becoming an entrepreneur, right? These are a lot of things that it goes through people's mind, right? They're probably thinking high startup cost, right? Do we have a system? Do I have to create all the marketing? Do I need to, do I have enough business or do I not have enough business, right? And those are things that we have taken care of, right? We don't have high startup costs. You will come into a place where we have a system. The marketing is created for you. The technology where we work with world class technology websites. So things that might derail you from having that idea of starting your own business, it's totally worth having a conversation and talking to the person who invited you, because a lot of those risks are mitigated with us. The reality is the most rewarding success will also be the most painful, right? Anytime there's something great, it's going to take hard work to get. It could be as basic as, if I want to get in shape, right? I need to watch what I'm eating and I need to exercise. So it's a very simple formula, right? But do we do it? That's entrepreneurship. It's like, to become successful is we have a system, and are we doing the steps, right? And when we do, it's the most rewarding, right? Because we're doing what we like, we have the flexibility, we're impacting families, and we have the freedom. So answers that you must have before making a move, right? You might be thinking about our industry, right? Where will you build your business? Well, if you line up 100 people, right, and you ask them about, do they need an education? Do they have a 401k at work? Do they have life insurance? That's our industry, right? Every person needs our information. What's the differentiator between us and the industry? Well, we're focused on education, first of all, and also we have access to many products and services, right? We're not going to make every solution fit into one person, right? We just, whatever that person's needs, we will have a solution, because our industry and our partners are well known and top of the line companies. Products and services, it's what I was just talking, solutions, right? Will we be busy? Will we have a need? Well, there's a huge problem, right? And where there is a big problem, we have the solution, and that's what makes our industry so successful. And then ability. What skills and talents can you bring to the table, right? I'm not afraid to work with someone who is better spoken than I am, right? Somebody who's better on technology. It's just like we team up, and that's what, it's successful when you could partner up with people that want to help, that we help each other grow, right? We're not in the environment of like, oh, I'm not going to tell you the secret because you might take my position. No, this is an environment that we welcome people that are ready to work, and if they have different abilities, then we help each other. As I continue to talk about the industry, right? What's another differentiator? If you look at the financial industry, it's 151 trillion, right? Let's look at real estate, right? Everyone wants to be a realtor. Nowadays, the market is a little bit different, but that was like everybody thinks everybody wants to sell and buy homes. Look at the size of the industry, or retail or technology. If you combine the three and then multiply by three, the financial industry is still the biggest. But how is it that we live in like the most powerful country in the world and financial illiteracy is the number one economic crisis, right? And this is everywhere. I'm just going to go briefly over the 7 money milestones. This is the roadmap to financial success, right? If you want to figure out, okay, what do I need to do? What's the kind of planning that I need to have? You just need to find and look at these 7 steps. The first thing we talk about is financial education, right? We're going to share the book. We're going to share concepts. So financial education is the first thing. Then we talk about proper protection, protecting against loss of income or protecting against loss of savings, right? Then we're going to talk about an emergency fund. As I mentioned earlier, during the pandemic, a lot of people were hurting because there was no emergency fund. So it's like living paycheck to paycheck. When the next paycheck doesn't come, tragic things happen. So having that proper emergency fund. Then we talk about debt management. In the current financial state, interest rates are very high. So one of the things that we focus is like, how can we get a plan in order to get out of debt, right? Number 5, cash flow. Are we spending money on things that we don't really need, right? Are we doing more needs than wants? Do we have any subscriptions that we don't even use? Or are we even actually just having extra income and we're not doing anything with it because we don't know what to do? It's just sitting in the bank. Number 6, we talk about wealth, right? This is where we talk about the impact of taxes and where are you investing? Do you have a retirement plan? Do you have a 401k plan? This is where we touch up on that subject. And lastly is protecting your wealth. Not that you have to wait, right, until you have all these steps to protect your wealth. Any of these steps could be done at any moment. It's really what's more important to you. But protecting your wealth is, now that you've created a wealth, that you have a home, that you have investments, if something were to happen to you and you pass away, who's going to inherit all your wealth? Do you want to leave a plan in place, or would you like the state to direct and decide who gets all your belongings, your home, So every one of these steps is important. They don't have to all be done in 1 week, right? But this is just a planning that you're just like, okay, this is what I'm going to work through and accomplish each one of these steps. There's and not a lot of people know about their financial independence number, right? You could ask your coworker, what's your financial independence number, and see their reaction, right? And what is the financial independence number? It's your annual income times 25, right? The rule of 25. So let's take an example. Let's say your income is $50,000, right? And you want to find your financial independence number. So you take $50,000 and you multiply it by 25. That's 1.25 million. So it said that if you do a 4% withdrawal, it's considered the safe withdrawal rate. That means you're not going to run out of money in retirement, right? So if you take the 1.25 times 4%, you're going to have an annual retirement income of $50,000. Now that's saving 1.25 million, right? $50,000 is not bad, but it doesn't mean that you're going to splurge. So it just gets us thinking, okay, how much am I saving? What do I have in my saving for retirement? Let's say you just want to get to $1 million in retirement. What needs to happen in order for you to get there? Let's say you're going to get an 8% rate of return. And let's look at the ages, right? When we talk to somebody who's in their 20s, what do they say? oh, we have a long time to retire. Like, why are we talking about retirement right now? But what they don't know is that time is on their side. If we look at the age of 20, and somebody starts saving for retirement, they have to save $190 a month, and they will have $1 million by the age of 65. But what typically happens, 20s go by, and we kind of start thinking about saving in our 30s. So at the age of 30, we have to save $436 a month. But what happens also when we hit our 30s? Typically, we have a young family, right? Typically, we bought a house. We have a mortgage, we have a car payment. So the $436 is not easy to save. And what happens if we just push the can down and say, well, I'll get to it when I'm in my 40s? That's $1,000 a month that we have to start saving. So this is just to put things in perspective. Procrastination really hurts us. So the sooner you start, the better. And it doesn't matter with what amount. The importance is like, what can I start building this habit with? If we look at this stool, three-legged stool, we're looking at personal savings, we're looking at pensions and Social Security. What are the things that are disappearing? One of the things is pensions, right? Nowadays, it's very hard to find a job that has a pension. Not a lot. No one is offering pensions, and the ones that have it, some of them have even disappeared. Social Security, Social Security is in trouble. By 2030, if the government doesn't do any changes, it is possible that there'll be a 30% pay cut on the Social Security check. So really, where does it leave us, right? We have to start taking responsibility with our personal savings. We have to start taking charge of our future. And that's like a great shift, because it's not something that our parents grew up with. They grew up with the pension. My dad has a pension. My mom does not. My mom is like, I could see both realities here. Mom is on a Social Security income and dad's on a pension. Here we have a strategy that we like to share with our families, friends and families, and people we talk to about what do you do to avoid running out of money in retirement. That is one of the worries people have, is like, am I going to run out of money, or am I going to have to find a job once I'm retired? And it's because, if they have their money invested, they could go through what happened in 2008, where people lost half of their retirement, right? Just out of the way the market played, and they were going to retire in a year or two, and now they have to keep working. But we have a strategy to avoid something like that. That's called the RISE strategy, where you have the upside potential to grow your money, but have no downside risk. So it's something that gives people peace of mind, thinking, okay, my money has potential to grow, but I will not lose. When we're talking about helping a family, the things that we do, let's say we were to help a family with the RISE strategy, right? And they have $275,000, and we were to help them protect that money. What kind of income would we make? We would be getting paid approximately $10,000. If we focus and we think, okay, can I do one of those strategies a month? What kind of annual income are we looking at? We're looking at $130,000. Let's say we could only do 5, right? It's a $50,000. So it all depends how much income do we want to create. Is the opportunity is here. The E factor, I think it's important to know that we are not just a brick and mortar business, that the only way to do business is for someone to come into our office. it's important to know that we could run our business digitally, right? We could be on vacation and setting up a couple of appointments through our vacation. We could be on the beach. As long as we have a laptop and a Wi-Fi connection, we could talk to anyone, any place, anywhere in the world. To talk a little bit about our How Many Works book, it has been featured in over 250 major TV shows. More than 100 million people have viewed it so far. And CNBC did an article, a review on our book, and they wanted to see if what we were talking about in the book was actual, those were the actual numbers, right? And their review came back saying, you guys are being nice to banks because what the things that are out there and the rates that they're getting are even worse than what our founder Tom Matthews wrote in the book. So it's a book that's gotten very good reviews, great recommendations. It's an easy read. You could probably read it in 45 minutes. It gives you charts. You have examples. So if any of you need a copy, highly recommend to reach out the person who invited you. We have world-class technology. You will have a website. We have also access to videos, right? If you want to know, okay, what are you talking about? What's the rule of 72? And those are just concepts about how many works that you'll read in the book. And you just want to, okay, I want to review it. Well, you have access to videos that you could share people who are interested or for review. This is the type of technology that we have access to. What's a big thing another big thing that differentiates our company is that we champion the cause of part-timers. This is an industry, an option that you don't have to quit your job, right? If it's something, as I mentioned before, that you love, you enjoy, and you're looking just for, okay, can I create extra income, or can I even just help my family set up things? You could start with a spare time. And as you learn more and you see the impact that you make on families, maybe from there you want to move to part-time. Once you start replacing that income as a part-time and you start replacing your full-time job income, maybe you think, okay, this is great. Maybe I could go full-time. You're not expected to quit your job as soon as you partner up with us, if that would be an option. There are different, you could start part-time. As I said, we champion the cause of part-timers. And who do you partner with, right? Who are you going to be working with? You're going to be working with you're going to have a successful people. You're going to have mentors, great attitude. We have great reputation. This is a place that the person that you're working with is going to help you be successful. This is not the place, this is not corporate America that I'm not going to give you the secret because I'm afraid that you might take my position. This is totally opposite, an environment where we're going to help each other be successful. So I'll leave you with history is here to be made. Will you be part of history with us? I want to thank you for your time.